And welcome. Tonight, Borno State Governor pays condolence visit to families of 63 victims killed by Boko Haram on Friday. Garkin Kolo residents decry lack of basic amenities following flood disaster. Taraba drags Revenue Mobilization Commission to court over proposed salary increase for public servants. And Volodymyr Zelensky condemns Russian strike on key government building in Kiev. Tonight we begin with security, and just 2 days after Boko Haram insurgents killed 63 people in Bama, Borno State, Governor Babagana Zulum has visited the affected community to commiserate with the families of the victims. The attack claimed the lives of 5 soldiers and 58 civilians who had previously been displaced by the insurgency and resettled in Darajamal over the past 2 months. During his visit, Governor Zulum met with community leaders and grieving families, condemning the massacre in the strongest terms and expressing profound sorrow over the tragedy. Acknowledging the persistent security challenges, he called for the immediate deployment of newly trained forest guards to reinforce the military in safeguarding vulnerable communities. And still on security, in its sustained efforts to curb crime and restore peace in Taraba State, troops of the Nigerian Army's 6th Brigade carried out a cordon and search operation in Ikia village in Wakari local government area of Taraba State. The operation followed credible intelligence linking the local resident, Mr. Termen Nzaga, popularly known as Full Fire, for harboring armed criminals operating along the Benue-Taraba border. Although no suspects were apprehended, the troops recovered a cache of arms and ammunition, including AK-47 magazines, rifle slings, and other firearms accessories. In a statement, Lieutenant Omar Mohammed, the public relations officer of the brigade, commended the professionalism and swift action of the soldiers. Brigadier General Kingsley Owa, or commander of the 6th Brigade, and Sector 3 Operation Wellstroke, also applauded the troops' dedication and reassured residents of continued vigilance and proactive measures to rid the state of criminal elements. Meanwhile, the Taraba State Governor Abu Kefa says his administration will not tolerate any act capable of undermining ongoing peace-building efforts aimed at fostering developments across the state. The governor's special advisor on youth, Katuko Joseph, conveyed this message while representing him as a sensitization event for youth on peace-building strategies and leadership.
It's a gathering of youths and women from all the 16 local government areas of Taraba State as they brainstorm on ways to address challenges confronting young people in the state. Issues such as drug abuse, cybercrime, armed robbery, kidnapping, banditry, illegal possession of firearms, dangerous weapons, and thuggery take the center stage.
Programs to empower youth. Youth support engagement and economic opportunities can help reduce idleness. If the youth are not idle, they will not go into drugs to experiment and become addicts.
Recently, the governor of Taraba State signed into law the Taraba Sports Commission Establishment Bill and the Taraba Youth Development Agency Bill, and participants here believe the steps taken will assist in addressing challenges associated with youth unemployment.
Any state or any nation that fails to empower its youth is already a failed state. For Governor Kefas to establish youth agency, that shows how much he cares and loves the youth of Taraba State.
Let us not allow this opportunity to pass us by. For the first time in the history of this state, this man has taken a lot of bullets on behalf of the youth. He has done what no other governor has done for the youth.
Governor Abu Kefas, represented by the Special Advisor on Youth, advises that any act capable of frustrating his peace-building effort will be resisted as his administration tackles other challenges confronting youths. He reiterates that his administration has ensured free education in basic and secondary schools, slashed tuition fees of students in tertiary institutions by 50%, a move he considers perfect in tackling poverty and illiteracy.
The future we dream of will not come from conflicts. It will come from collaboration. This is why today we are sending a strong message. We choose peace. We choose unity. We choose progress.
The state government believes engaging young people through empowerment will address some of its teething problems, even as he urges them to participate actively in politics.
And still on security, the National Youth Council of Nigeria, NYCN Northwest Zone, has declared its support for the federal government's strategy of combining military operations with non-kinetic measures to tackle insecurity in the region. Speaking in Kaduna, the convener of the meeting, Mr. Saleh Kuba, emphasized the lasting peace could only be secured through a balanced approach that blends military action with dialogue involving aggrieved groups.
We express our commitment to support the security agencies, particularly the Office of the National Security Advisor, who in his wisdom decided to deploy both kinetic and non-kinetic strategies in addressing insecurity, particularly in the north. And that is what is sustainable globally. When you deploy kinetic, you also deploy non-kinetic to understand the underlying issues that are causing this insecurity, so that you come up with sustainable solutions. Because if you don't address grievances from the root causes and you say you insist on deploying only kinetic strategies, you will not have solutions. So we are in support of sustained, honest dialogue with aggrieved parties across the geopolitical zones, particularly in the north. There should be synergy between the national and the subnational, that's the federal government and the state governors, and then the security agencies, to ensure that we achieve sustainable peace across, particularly the northern part, particularly the northwest, where the area that has been ravaged by banditry.
And barely 2 weeks after being relocated to a new settlement, flood victims from Garinkolo in Yobe State are now lamenting the shortage of food, shelter, potable water, and other essential amenities. While the Yobe State government promptly moved the victims to a safer location, providing initial relief materials, the struggle to meet their basic needs continues to deepen. In the special report, Channels Television visited the flooded victims in Garinkolo community to assess the condition of the new resettlement and highlight the plight of the displaced residents.
The journey to Garinkolo, a community in Nangere local government area of Yobe State, recently displaced by flood, is a tortuous one. A ride on motorcycles for several kilometers, trekking inside water, as well as using cart truck, is what it takes to access the flooded Garinkolo community. Farmland submerged. Over 70% of the mud houses collapsed, with an estimated 250 households made of more than 1,000 individuals affected. Silence everywhere. Only birds could be heard in the flooded community.
Mun samu kalubale na cin ruwa da gonakai da har ma cikin gari da zuban ɗakuna. Ba adadi, ba yadda za a yi a ce yadda za a yi a mayar ɗaki ya zauna, ko kayi ma zai girgije ya zube. Dole ne ko mutum ya so ko ya ki, dole zai bar garin nan.
At their newly settled camp, Yobe State government has provided tents, among other special amenities. But access to the most of the basic needs is very difficult, as it takes an hour to get even water.
Na farko yanzu abin da yake dan bamu matsala ruwan sha. Don famfon mu ba shi da ƙarfin ruwa, ba mu san kuma me matsalarsa ba. An zo an tona shi amma tun da aka tona shi bai zauna lafiya ba. Ruwan nan shine za ku ga muna hawa kan layin yayi yawa.
Gaskiya muna cikin kunci na rashin dan abin da za a sai manda da barkono. Tunda za ka je ka nemo din babu daman tafiya. Saboda muna tsammanin akwai masu mana jajje, zo su daga gurare su suna ce wani sannu.
Although free drugs have been provided at the camp, for Maimuna Musa and Fatima Umar, inadequate mosquito nets, healthcare services, and latrines are their major challenges, as there are only 10 latrines in the camp for a population of over 1,000.
Muna so a taimaka mana da ƙarin ɗakuna, kuma da magunguna wanda ya ɗanyi mana karanci wanda aka ba mu ya ƙare. Kuma gidan sauran ma bai ishe mu ba da yake muna da akwai yara da yawa.
The Executive Secretary, Yobe State Emergency Management Agency, who explained the efforts of the state government in relocating the victims in a dignified manner, seeks more interventions as there are still gaps.
When we relocated them, what we ensured to fast track is to ensure that they have shelter, they have roof on themselves, there's water, potable drinking water, and there are latrines. Within the first 24 hours of the relocation, we have provided 10 latrines, we have provided water trunking services, and 3 days after, we made ensure that there is a borehole, solar power borehole that is drilled in that place. Food basket has been provided by Yobe State government, and above all, we make sure that there is a referral mechanism for those that are sick for the next primary healthcare center or the general hospital that is closer to the facility.
With the 2025-2026 academic activities set to resume in less than 10 days, the victims also look to the government to provide classes, teachers, and learning materials for the displaced children.
And from Yobe, let's head to Kogi State, where the government has pledged to clear all obstacles that could hinder its planned beautification of Lokoja, the state capital. The Commissioner for Environment and Ecological Management, Mr. Joseph Oluwasegun, made this known while addressing journalists in his office in Lokoja. He explains that the enforcement process is long overdue and necessary to achieve the state's environmental goals.
Bulldozers move into the Old Market and the Pata Market as officials of the Kogi State government remove illegal structures in Lokoja, the state capital. The officials are enforcing the state government's directive, which has marked the area as a green belt. Structures which were built on floodplain areas under electric high-tension lines and those close to the road are also removed. The enforcement exercise comprised of officials from the Kogi State Ministry of Environment and Ecological Management, the Town Planning Board, as well as the Sanitation and Waste Management Board, as armed security men provide cover. Some of the traders that attempted to obstruct the exercise were dispersed by security officials using tear gas. The state government insists that those affected were duly served notices before the commencement of the exercise.
We have been on this for the past, I can say, since November last year, and we have given them abatement notice because the areas of our concentration when it comes to beautification of the state is our green belt. And that area where you carry out this operation happens to be one of our green belt.
This place, they have decided to use it for their own purpose, not for government purpose, not for what government is aiming it for. But now with this, government is now coming on board to make sure that this very place is judiciously used.
Some of the traders hurriedly attempt to salvage their belongings, while others appear helpless. However, some of the traders maintain that they were not served any notice before the demolition, claiming that they were duly allocated the space after making the necessary payments.
What is happening here is uncalled for. There is an enforcement, like they said. There is no resistance. Why are they shooting us tear gas? Why are they shooting us gun? What is happening?
So far, so good. As far as we are concerned, the demolition is okay by we.
Nevertheless, the state government appears resolute on its plan to remove the structures.
The Kogi government has invested very huge amount of money in doing the embankment and the greening of the area.
The state government is also planning to commence the Lokoja beautification within the next 2 weeks.
In part two, after the break, Nupeng, Dangote refinery truck drivers clash over planned strike. Please join us again. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Borno State Governor pays condolence visit to families of 63 victims killed by Boko Haram on Friday. Garinkolo residents decry lack of basic amenities following flood disaster. Serap drags Revenue Mobilization Commission to court over proposed salary increase for public servants. And Volodymyr Zelensky condemns Russian strike on key government building in Kiev. The Labour Party's governorship candidate in the 2023 Lagos election, Gbadebo Roadsviver, says that the only way to challenge the ruling party come 2027 is for opposition parties to unite and build a formidable front. He explained that the coalition has already intensified its efforts at the grassroots and is now working with solid strategies. He made this known while speaking on our political program, Sunday Politics.
Joining the ADC, joining the coalition is a very practical step. It's a very practical step. For me, as a politician in Lagos State, having experienced what I did in 2023, and the need to form a broader coalition, the ADC currently is a party that is one of the most stable in relation to opposition politics. It's one of the parties that is bringing a lot of people together. So giving us more strength, giving us more network, giving us the capacity to penetrate the grassroots even more. And it's a party that I believe will be able to make a major difference with the way we are moving and the way that we are building our structures all the way down to the wards and the polling units. We need a party that's going to be ready to do the work, which is building a robust structure all the way down to the ward level, with stability and a platform that can allow this work to be done without any distraction. So that's a very practical reason why we joined the ADC. We have all agreed that the only way to have a successful election for us in the opposition is a coalition, where regardless of where anybody is at this point in time, we have all come to that agreement and we are all working towards that aim.
President Bola Tinubu has again expressed strong optimism about Nigeria's economic future. Well, the president also confirmed that the country's non-oil revenue generation has outperformed budgetary expectations. So tonight, Babajide Ogunsawo, who is the founder of Leadership by Data and Channels Television's chief data analyst, is here to share the vital facts, the evidence and insights about Nigeria's actual revenue performance. Thank you very much, Babajide, for joining us on the News at 10.
Good evening, Anna.
So what is the true picture and the state of government finances? What does the revenue curve look like?
So for us to really know the true picture, we're going to have to look at the statement made by the president. And yes, there was a official press release by the Office of the Special Advisor of Information and Strategy. So let's take a look at that, and then we can compare that with some of the evidence we have. From the official press release, it's clear they said that the president said from January to August 2025, total collections reached 20.59 trillion naira. Now, this was the official state press release earlier this week on Wednesday. Now, is this the true picture? Unfortunately, the official information we have that we're going to use as a reference is the Central Bank or the National Bureau of Statistics, and the only information that they've released this year is as up to the end of March. So we have information January to March, we don't have January to August. However, and if we take a look at those numbers January to March, we see a bit of consistency. So what the Central Bank's official document shows is in the first 90 days of this year, total federal collected revenue, 7.2 trillion naira January to March. That's a monthly average of about 2.4 trillion naira. And if we go by that run rate, it is very possible that, yes, January to August, what the president said is right. 20.59 trillion naira is really possible because as of earlier this year, we're already on that run rate. So yes, there's a high chance that that is correct. 20.59 trillion naira is very likely an accurate representation of how much gross total money has come into the Federation account. But beyond that, let's take a look at the other two critical things, which is the oil revenue and the non-oil revenue. And if we take a look at exactly what the position on oil revenue and non-oil revenue as well, from that statement, we also see a lot of consistency. The central bank's report earlier in the year had showed that non-oil revenue as at the first 3 months of the year, 4.7 trillion naira, accounting for 65% of total monies that went into the Federation account. So yes, the second fact check is correct. Non-oil revenue is significantly outpacing oil revenue. Now, the third thing that a lot of people are bothered about is, and if we take a look at that follow-up statement again, within that same press release, if you take a look at, yes, we've seen good news on non-oil revenue, but if we take a look further down into the press statement, you see the president also showing concern about crude oil targets not being met. The exact way it was put was the president commented on tax revenues which do not include dollar oil receipts where targets are not being met. So the good news is on non-oil revenue, we're surpassing targets. On oil revenue, and we're not hitting targets. In simple terms, crude oil, and when you talk about crude oil, you talk about the NNPC. So the question is, what exactly is the NNPC doing, and what is the NNPC getting wrong? And from the evidence, there are three things that a lot of people are talking about. The first is there are talks of a confidence vote on the GCU. Is it really a confidence vote or a no confidence vote? The second is there are talks about exactly if the current GCU has the relationship in the Middle East to be able to secure oil for loan arrangements and oil for finance sort of programs that the federal government desperately needs. But perhaps the third and the most important thing is now we have a new GCU at the NNPC, Bayo Ojulari. The concerns is been in office as well for over 150 days, yet the NNPC doesn't seem to have a clear operational and business strategy. What exactly will he be doing with the refineries? What exactly is the role of the GCU? What exactly is the structure of the board? So what we've seen is there's still a lot that is going on in the NNPC that is making it hard for the NNPC to focus on its core responsibility and achieve those sort of targets. Yes, we understand what is going on globally in the crude oil market also has some implications, but overall there's a lot going on in the NNPC that is suppressing the potential of the state-led corporation.
But Babajide, what is the driving force of the government's non-oil revenue growth?
Now, there are several ways to look at this, but overall, what the evidence does really show, it's families like you and I that is really making this non-oil revenue numbers look big. What do I mean? If we take a look at the evidence from the central bank on what is really promoting and growing our non-oil revenue, 3 words: value-added tax. The point I'm making is, let's take a look at what happened in the first quarter of this year relative to the first quarter of last year. Year on year, value-added tax has grown by 51%. So within the last 12 months, we've seen value-added tax grow, and value-added tax really is tax families like you and I pay, consumption tax. Beyond that, in the first half of this year, total oil non-revenue to the Federation account, 4.7 trillion naira. However, again, value-added tax accounted for 44% of total non-oil revenue. So the real magic that is growing non-oil revenue is families. It is the Nigerian businesses and the Nigerian consumers.
But does oil revenue guarantee that the government will put in more money in healthcare and education?
So, Anne, the picture is, there's the revenue part, which the picture looks better than it did previously. But that's not the full picture. For you to see the full picture, you have to compare Nigeria's revenue with its expenditure and its debt. And the reason why I'm a bit more concerned beyond the revenue is the debt. And last year, we grew revenue. Last year, and Nigeria's revenue to the federal government, 9.4 trillion naira last year. However, how much is our debt service? In excess of 11 trillion naira. So last year, 9 trillion naira revenue, debt service, 11 trillion naira. And if you take a look at the chart of the week as we close, it allows us to see our position really isn't much of a revenue problem. Yes, we've got a revenue problem, but our debt still remains a big issue. Look at what happened between 2022 to 2024. These are the facts from the central bank. Total revenue, 20.6 trillion naira. Debt service, 25 trillion naira. Our debt service is gulping all of this revenue. And I know I've gulped all of my time right
You've
now.
gulped all of your time. Well, thank you very much.
But
It's
again,
exciting with numbers.
We need to keep a look. Yes, we've seen non-oil revenue performing. The NNPC, led by the new GCO, really has to make the president happy by growing non-oil revenue. And like I always tell people, beyond even though the president is on holiday, worrying about the ADC and the LP and the NNPP, is also worried about the NNPC.
All right. Thank you very much. Founder of Leadership by Data and Channels Television's Chief Data Analyst. Thanks for your time and all the numbers on the news at 10.
The pleasure is all mine, Anne.
And ahead of Monday's commencement of its planned strike, the National Secretariat of the Nigeria Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers, NUPENG, is insisting that there is no going back on the industrial action to protest the stance of management of Dangote refinery not to allow drivers of its imported compressed natural gas trucks to join any trade union. In a statement jointly signed by Comrade William Saporiha and Mr. Folabi, President and General Secretary of the union, they maintain that the petroleum tanker drivers branch of its union will stop the lifting of petroleum products from depots nationwide as from September the 8th, 2025. Meanwhile, members of the Direct Truck Company Drivers Association have reaffirmed their own commitment to ensuring the steady supply of premium motor spirits, popularly known as petrol, across Nigeria. Speaking to the media in Lagos, the association's Lagos unit chairman, Sylvanus Idanwekai, noted that the newly established DTCDA has introduced several initiatives aimed at improving the welfare of its members while strengthening their role in fuel distribution nationwide.
Members under the umbrella of the Direct Trucking Company Drivers Association Lagos unit say this is a new day with regards to all that pertains to their job.
Formally, NUPENG doesn't pay salary. They don't have salary scheme. They don't have salary scheme for drivers. It is the owners who pay salary to the drivers. They are all in the purview of owner. Or what they do, their own is just the drivers are my member. They don't have any other benefit they achieve from there. So since I have gotten a lot of benefits here, I decided to join Direct Trucking Company Limited because if you look at the benefit, I think me and my family will survive.
They say their membership of the driver's body is constitutional as captured in Section 40 of the 1999 Constitution, which states that every person is entitled to freely assemble and associate with others, including trade unions or any other association, to protect their interests.
Their salary is protected and guaranteed, and their salary is doubled the national minimum wage. Secondly, they have their HMO, and this is not the like of HMO that when driver get to where he's supposed to be attended to, they will start telling him a story.
They are taking care of us. They are doing everything human possibly as a direct trucking company, drivers association.
Other members expressed their thoughts on what they have experienced being part of Direct Trucking Company Drivers Association.
Direct Truck Company Driver Association, the scheme say.
Direct Trucking Company takes care of us, and when we have any challenge, the management solves it for us.
Because
we love our company.
And there are so many benefits we get, like free healthcare. And when there is a challenge on our duty on the road, they stand by us.
We want to make sure we work with the government and work with everybody so that Nigeria will see the benefit of direct trucking. Nobody, including us, that will say there's a strike. We want to abolish it.
The Direct Trucking Company Drivers Association says it is committed to building truck terminals, hostels and recreational facilities along major highways to enhance safety and operational efficiency for members.
And still to come on the news at 10, Imo State government unveils roadmap to curb child and maternal mortality. Please stay with us. Welcome back. The Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has filed a lawsuit against the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission over its proposal to increase the salaries of political and public office holders in Nigeria, including the president, the vice presidents, governors, their deputies, and lawmakers. The recommendation to raise these salaries was disclosed last month, with the commission describing the current remuneration for the positions as paltry. SERAP is now seeking an order of injunction restraining RAMFAC, its agents, and provosts from taking any step to review upward the salaries of the said people and the lawmakers in Nigeria. According to SERAP, RMAFC's constitutional and statutory mandates do not imply unlimited. And as part of its sustained commitment to ending preventable child and maternal death, the Imo State government, in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Health, has launched the Maternal and Neonatal Mortality Reduction Innovation Initiative and inauguration of a state steering committee and task force to drive this roadmap. Speaking at this inauguration held in the health center in Ngopala, local government area of Imo State, the national coordinator of Mami Dayo Adeyanju charged the newly inaugurated committee to ensure full implementation of the roadmap aimed at reducing maternal and child mortality rate across Imo. Our correspondent, Aitokwe Kutei, reports.
According to the Federal Ministry of Health, 172 local governments across Nigeria account for the highest rates of maternal and child mortality. Ngopala local government in Imo State, venue of this inauguration, is one of them.
We want to sincerely thank all of you for the work we have done in the whole of this week.
The activation of MAMI and the inauguration of a state steering committee at Umuoyagu Health Center brings together health officials, community leaders, pregnant women, and nursing mothers, all united by one mission: safe pregnancy, safe delivery, and healthy children. The national coordinator of Mami Dayo Adeyanju takes time to explain the benefits of the initiative to pregnant women and nursing mothers in the community.
What is now important, the commissioner, the governor, right from the president, the minister, the governor, and the commissioner, and everybody here, they are working to make sure that every woman that wants to deliver, the delivery is safe. Okay? It is now left for you to come to the hospital and register. That is your whole role. You don't have any other role.
He then hands over the roadmap document to the State Commissioner for Health, as the committee is also formally inaugurated.
I present this to you on behalf of all of us, from the federal, the state that has co-created this document to crash maternal mortality in Imo State and by extension in Nigeria.
Imo State Commissioner for Health, Chioma Egu, says Imo is fully committed to implementing the new plan.
For us in Imo State, this activation is timely. It will strengthen our primary health system, equip our health workers, and bring life-saving care closer to the women who need it most.
For the beneficiaries, they commend government and partners for prioritizing their lives and that of their babies.
I want to seize this opportunity to thank the people that is organizing this program. Through them, I delivered my baby without paying any dime.
I thank God for my life today. Thank God for this program and the supporter of this program. And we encourage other women to go. It is working.
The initiative provides practical services such as free kits, essential drugs, and free cesarean sections for pregnant mothers. With the roadmap now in place, Imo joins other states and the federal government in its effort to reduce child and maternal mortality in Nigeria. Ejitopa Kutai, Channels Television News.
And from the health sector, we turn our attention to the education sector, where the Benue state government has directed the compulsory installation of fiber optic cables across all ministries, departments, and agencies. And this is to help strengthen the state's digital infrastructure. Governor Hyacinth Alia, represented by his deputy, Mr. Sam Ode, gave this directive during the induction ceremony of 102 pioneer students into the state summer tech training program.
102 pioneer students from the Maiden Summer Tech Training Program of the Benue State Government are set for induction into the state's digital infrastructure plan as they graduate from a 4-week digital skill training. Governor Hyacinth Alia, who is represented by his deputy, announces a new measure to strengthen the state's digital backbone.
They are trailblazers of the future that we are seeking to build. A future powered by knowledge, innovation, and opportunity. Under my leadership, our government has made remarkable progress in digital infrastructure. We have, among other things, successfully deployed fiber optic connectivity across 18 ministries, departments, and agencies.
The federal government promises to support the Benue state government's digital transformation moves.
It represents a significant milestone in bridging the digital divide and positioning our children not only as consumers of technology, as partners in this journey. We at NIDA remain fully committed to collaborating with BDIT and the government of Benue State.
The initiative is part of the mandate of the Benue State Digital Infrastructure Company, which is also handling the transition from paper to digital of the State Executive Council meetings and legislative plenary sessions.
The essence of what we are doing today is to introduce digital inclusion from the younger generation. By equipping these kids with digital tools and skills at this age, we are building a foundation for a digital tomorrow. And then we are expecting to scale this to 23 local governments in the next session. That is the summer tech training in year 2026. We will have the training hubs in each local government so that we will have local inclusion.
As the beneficiaries receive their certificates with personalized tablets to start their journey, the government believes this initiative will drive innovation, boost economic growth, and place Benue State on the map as a rising digital hub.
And the Kano state government has reopened 13 boarding schools previously shut down by the former administration in what is seen as a significant step towards revitalizing the state's education sector. The Commissioner for Education, while briefing journalists, reveals that more than 1,200 classrooms have been renovated to encourage higher enrollment and enhance learning conditions across the state. And as Nigeria intensifies its fight against hard drugs, the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, has arrested 3 leaders of an international crime syndicate operating across Nigeria, the United Kingdom, Brazil, Australia, and the United Arab Emirates. The breakthrough came after NDLEA officers at the export shed of Lagos Airport intercepted 76 cartons of textile materials bound for Sydney, Australia. A thorough inspection revealed that 16 large blocks of cocaine weighing 17.9 kilograms concealed within the lace fabrics. In statements and separate operation, NDLEA operatives apprehended a Nigerian resident in Italy at the departure hall of Terminal 1 at the Lagos Airport as he attempted to board an Air France flight. A total of 24,480 pills of tramadol ranging from 100 milligrams to 225 milligrams were recovered from him. Also, a joint examination of a 40-foot container uncovered 160,200 bottles of codeine-based syrup. In the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, a stop-and-search operation in Gwarimpa led to the arrest of a dispatch rider found transporting 3.1 kilograms of Colorado, which is a potent synthetic strain of cannabis. And as Nigeria continues to grapple with the rising case of youth unemployment, many young people are seeking alternative means of livelihood. In Plateau State, a group of enterprising youth is staging its way out of joblessness, transforming the traditional craft of shoemaking into a thriving source of empowerment and economic resilience. The special report takes a look at their journey, where passion meets production and leatherwork becomes a lifeline.
It's a regular morning in Jos, the Plateau State capital. From the bustling city center to the vibrant corners of the terminus, the sights and sounds are alive. Behind the scenes of this daily hustle lies a silent struggle: youth unemployment. With over 13 million Nigerian youths out of job, the search for survival is forcing a shift from paper qualifications to practical innovation. In the face of unemployment, some youths in Plateau State are not waiting for government jobs or corporate offices. They are building their futures one soul at a time. For Daniel Dong, a graduate of public administration and the winner of the 2022 National Small and Medium Enterprises Award of Excellence in Leatherworks, shoemaking was once a side hustle. Today, it's a full-time business.
I got into shoemaking full-time after I graduated. That was 2012. And the passion for me was largely because I'd always wanted to become an entrepreneur, wanted to be able to empower others, not just myself. Of course, it's a means to empowering myself, but to also empower others through the process. And I considered that since shoemaking is something that I have a flair for, it's wise for me to develop it and use that platform to do it. And so far, so good.
Daniel has trained over 100 youths to become self-reliant and employers of labor. Across the city, training centers like this one are giving hope to hundreds of unemployed youths, many of them school leavers and graduates.
I love shoemaking, and it's a good job, it's a good skill job, and I like to, if I finish, to set up on my own so that some other will benefit on me.
From roadside stores to home-run workshops, young artisans are proving that the business of shoemaking is no longer just about mending footwears. The shoemaking craft, once considered lowly, is now gaining prestige, with some artisans branding their products and marketing them online. For Omar Yakub, patronizing locally made shoes is cheaper and durable.
For me, particular, I think that is very nice and affordable, very strong, and the material is well organized, and the finishing is top-notch, and is durable, and the price is pocket-friendly.
However, despite the success stories, these young entrepreneurs face significant challenges, including rising material costs, limited access to credit facilities, and a lack of advocacy and technical support.
Some of the challenges are very obvious. One, access to credit facility. Two, access to technical assistance. For instance, an entrepreneur in Nigeria doesn't know he doesn't know some of the things that he needs to put in place to be able to have a standard business. You know, we say we want our businesses to be globally competitive, but what are the measures you need to put in place in terms of registering with regulatory bodies, in terms of the standardization of your product, and so on and so forth. You know, then access to credit facilities, in as much as, yes, there are quite a number of agencies that are created to provide some of these facilities. Having access to the facilities has proven to be a major challenge.
we reached out to the Director General of the Plateau State Small and Medium Enterprise Agency, responsible for empowering businesses and improving livelihoods across the state, Mr. Bomkam Wiyep, to find out what the state government has been doing to support young entrepreneurs, but it declined to comment. These youths are confident that with the right backing, they can set an example for other parts of the country to fight unemployment.
And now to the arts. Can we breathe is the theme for the 2025 Life in My City Festival, which takes place in several regions in Nigeria. An art review tonight, we show you the works of art created by young artists in the Lagos Regional Exhibition.
Freedom, identity, and survival in the contemporary world through the lens of artistic expression. That's the focus of the Life in My City, Lagos Regional Exhibition at the Third Pyramid Art Center.
It's a forum, a project that has two aims. One is to empower young artists. It was started by my dear friend who just passed a few weeks ago now, Chief Robert Hodge. He wanted a competition that young people come out of university with study art and employment opportunities are limited. And what they produce, very few people are interested in because they don't know enough about it or they are not familiar with it and so on. But the whole idea then is to create a place where young people can expose their productions.
The theme, Can We Breathe?, brings together bold, fresh hands and ideas that reflect the times, exploring tropical issues as the LIMCAF team believe in the spirit of every age and the tenacity of the youth.
So far, so good. The artist has shown their resilience of interpreting the theme, Can We Breathe? If you look around, you see that there are used so many materials, both found objects, both telling the stories of how their life in their city has really affected them. And Can We Breathe as the team, exploring, experimenting to show that the team is being part of what their aim is.
The crowd is impressed with what they've seen so far.
I see amazing talent, in this room, for example. I'm yearning to learn more about what is behind, the creative process. How have they used, for example, what are they trying to express? What are the bigger themes that they're trying to explore with their work? How are they exploring the material that they've used, and so on? And also maybe learn a little bit about their challenges as well, because it's quite difficult, for artists in this environment to create work without the needed support from the larger society.
Art is central to life. It is not a side event. It's not, when you have an exhibition of this, like this, people flock in because art is a social development instrument. People, not only do people earn a living from, as I said, the young artists interrogate life and people draw from it. And then it contributes to the economy, it contributes to tourism. And one of our aims is to create, out of Life in My City, another big African tourist event.
Life in My City is one of the longest running annual art festivals for young creatives in the country.
Let's delve into the world of sports. The recent performance of the home Eagles at the African Nations Championship, a tournament designed to showcase the best players from Africa's domestic league, has left a bitter taste in the mouth of Nigeria's football-loving fans. The team's campaign ended in the group phase, which has once again raised familiar questions about the quality of Nigeria's domestic league. And this report takes a look at what went wrong for the home-based Super Eagles and what the future holds for the team.
An attempt to power through here. The goalkeeper makes the cardinal mistake of getting out of the goal area. Here is a shot. It's in the net.
Nigeria's dismal outing at the just concluded African Nations Championship is still causing ripples among football fans. The team's defensive frailties got exposed at the tournament, and their inability to create goal-scoring opportunities was evident. Nigeria has had inconsistent performances at the African Nations Championships, finishing third in 2014 and runners-up in 2018, but also failing to qualify on several occasions. Many question whether the Nigeria Premier Football League is producing players of sufficient quality to compete at this level, and if Eric Shell was the right man to lead the team to the tournament.
Yeah, I think I would narrow it down to lack of preparation.
Other African countries have gone up. They are even doing better than us. Even as Sudanese coach, we even say that Nigerian team was not even coached well after the match. There's nothing wrong with Nigerian team.
They are not playing because this is Nigeria. They are playing because they are playing for themselves. So they don't really love the league. They don't love the country. They want to play for their own name.
In spite of the criticisms, the Super Eagles coach insists the best players were picked from the league to represent Nigeria in the tournament.
I need to bring some player who can play with my philosophy. But the reality for me, actually we are the best player in the league. Maybe one or two guys deserve to be in this team, but this is the reality.
Football enthusiasts are certain the struggles of the Chan Eagles are a reflection of deeper issues within Nigerian football.
I have this saying, it's natural to make mistakes, but it's foolish to repeat the same mistake. We shouldn't expect to have a better result if we are doing the same thing over and over and over. We have to change. We just have to find a way to change.
Chance that they want to take for a shot.
So if we are to use that, the performance of the team, to judge the Premier League without looking at other indices, I would say we are not being fair. We have to look at it holistic.
Nevertheless, prominent figures within the Nigerian football ecosystem believe there have been improvements in the Nigeria Premier Football League.
In terms of balance, that is competitive balance, you can see that the league was highly fought for, and their fairness, level playing ground for all.
Officiating is getting much better. Nigerian referees have been recognized in Africa. This is the bedrock of football, the league, and that is what can make a country have respect in terms of international football.
Nigeria's poor performance serves as a stark reminder that a strong national team is built on the foundation of robust and competitive domestic leagues, which ultimately feeds team selection for the African Nations Championship.
Carlos Alcaraz beat Yannick Sinner in 4 sets to win the U.S. Open as loud boos mixed with a smattering of cheers greeted President Donald Trump at the final, which ended a few minutes ago in New York. The 22-year-old Alcaraz won 6-2, 3-6, 6-1, 6-4 to capture his second U.S. Open crown and his 6th Grand Slam title, avenging his lone defeat in a major final by Sinner at Wimbledon in July. Alcaraz will reclaim the world #1 ranking from Sinner, returning to top spot for the first time since September 2023 after ending the Italian's 27-match winning run at hardcourt Grand Slams. Away from sports outside our shores, Russia has launched what it has described as its largest air offensive on Ukraine on Sunday, deploying over 800 drones and 13 missiles in an hour-long assault. The strikes resulted in fires at Kiev's main government building for the first time at the ongoing conflict. And the attack has prompted residents to seek shelter amid rising smoke over the city's skyline. But authorities have confirmed that at least 4 people have been killed in strikes across Ukraine, including a young woman and her infant son, both of whom died after a 9-story building they were in Kiev was hit. And Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has condemned the attacks via telegram, describing it as a deliberate crime and an attempt to prolong the war. Mr. Zelensky's comment appeared aimed at U.S. President Donald Trump, who has repeatedly warned of escalating sanctions against Russia. And sky watchers around the world have been witnessing a celestial display as a breathtaking blood moon graces the night sky, a result of a total lunar eclipse. This rare phenomenon also occurs when the moon ventures through Earth's shadow, transforming into a vivid shape of deep red. The eclipse is expected to reach its peak in the early hours of Monday, with the moon fully immersed in Earth's dark umbral shadow at about 21:11 GMT on September the 7th. And during this captivating phase, the moon will be completely enveloped for over 1 hour, offering a spectacular sight for enthusiasts worldwide. And the main news again. Borno State Governor Babagana Zulum has paid a condolence visit to families of 63 victims killed by Boko Haram on Friday. And that's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Waldo. Good night and have a wonderful week ahead.